Right, we are going to read a book called Eleanor's Eyebrows by Timothy Knapman and illustrated by David Taziman. So he drew all these pictures. All right. Eleanor knew exactly what all the different bits of her face were for. Her eyes were for crossing. Her ears were for waggling. Her nose was for picking. Ew! And her tongue was for sticking out at people. But we don't do that because that is not very kind. What on earth is the point of eyebrows? Said Eleanor one day. They're just two silly, scruffy, hairy little bits of fluff. Now, Eleanor's eyebrows wouldn't stay where they weren't wanted. So that night, while Eleanor slept, they slid off her face and ventured out into the big, wide world to find someone who would love them for what they were. And that's when they saw and noticed. Are you long, thin, and hairy? Want to be more than just a silly, scruffy, hairy little bit of fluff? We can make you beautiful. Come to the butterfly house at the zoo. So the eyebrows made straight for the zoo, and in no time they were tucked up in the butterfly house. It was full of caterpillars who were fluffy and hairy too. The eyebrows didn't like the taste of leaves, and no matter how hard they worked at it, they just couldn't make cocoons. So the eyebrows went looking for another house. They tried being a twirling mustache for a marvelous magician, but his tricks involved explosions, and it was far too dangerous. So they tried being woolly hand warmers for beautiful lady beetles who didn't want to catch a cold, and false legs for a very large ant who liked pretending to be a spider, and tires on a stick insect's motorbike. Eleanor, meanwhile, had been merrily getting on with life. She hadn't missed her eyebrows one little bit until one day her granny came to visit. The old lady took one look at the empty space above Eleanor's eyes and screamed and ran a mile. Is that all it is? Said Eleanor, looking in the mirror. Well, I can easily draw some eyebrows on. But Eleanor wasn't very good at drawing. No matter how many times she tried. So instead, she combed her hair forward, but it just got in her eyes and made her bump into things. Then she tried balancing her pet mice on her face, but they just bit her and fell off. Suddenly, wherever Eleanor went, all she noticed were eyebrows. Squiggly eyebrows and fat eyebrows, sensible eyebrows and mad eyebrows. Eyebrows with shiny silver rings through them. Eyebrows like flashes of lightning. Eyebrows that met in the middle, and eyebrows that were so far apart they could almost be ear hair. She had never realized how wild and wonderful her eyebrows were, and how much she missed her own. I'm so miserable without my lovely eyebrows, said Eleanor. I wish I could get them back, but how? And then she had a brilliant idea. Are you long, thin, and... Ooh, I wonder what she's writing. Meanwhile, out in the big wide world, Eleanor's eyebrows had got a job as an exclamation mark on a very angry sign. Slow down! Exclamation mark. But it rained and they got washed off. Suddenly the eyebrows felt cold and wet and a long, long way from home, and that's when they saw a notice. Are you long, thin, and hairy? So much more than just silly, scruffy, hairy little bit of fluff. A foolish little girl misses you so. Please come back to Eleanor's house. You're beautiful. When Eleanor woke up the next morning, the space above her eyes felt itchy. What's gone wrong now, she wondered sadly. So she looked at her face in the mirror. And there, right above her eyes, were her eyebrows. And now Eleanor knew exactly what they were for. Making her happy. The end.